Hello and welcome, everyone. It is the old man hacking the world. How are y'all doing? It's time for another episode. And today we are learning about how to extend your network. First thing first, let's join the room so we can get credit. Okay. The first thing on the list is in the intro to port forwarding. Essentially, if you never forwarded any of your ports, nothing on your network would ever be available to the internet. So if you have a web server and you didn't forward the port that it was serving on, then it would just serve the network it's on and nothing else. So let's go. All right. So at work, you may often hear, about your company's intranet, and you'll have web servers that serve that, and so they don't forward that information out to the internet. They just keep it local on the internet. So as long as you're connected to that network, you can have access to that data, which is good if you want, company secrets to stay off the internet. But let's say you have some data that you want, like advertising for your company, you know, things that you offer, et cetera, et cetera. That information would have to be forwarded out to the internet. All right. So it's asking what is the name of the device that is used to configure port forwarding. And as we read right above, that is a router. Survey says, whoop, whoop. All right. One for one today. Let's go. Task two, we're going to learn about firewalls. That's cute. Firewall is a device within a network responsible for determining what traffic is allowed to enter and exit. Oh, well, that got politically charged real fast. Think of a firewall as border security for a network. An administrator can configure a firewall to permit or deny traffic. So, well, yeah, so many ways we could go with that. I'm just going to leave the politics of that aside and not, you know, we're just going to compare it to, say, the physical wall that of the building that your company is in and how the main door with security guards lets people in and out based on their credentials. I think that'll be a less politically charged uh, analogy for this. Okay, so there's different settings you can set up. I've done it for hosting game servers and whatnot back in the day. So whatever port that the game is playing on and you're serving on, you gotta forward that. Otherwise, people that aren't on your home network can't have access to the game. Nowadays, I think most games and kind of set that up for you so you don't have to actually go into the router and physically set up the port forwarding, which is nice. So there's two primary categories. There's the stateful and stateless. Stateful firewall uses the entire information in a connection rather than inspecting an individual packet. And so it kind of determines the behavior of the device based on the entire connection. Downside is it consumes many resources compared to a stateless firewall, as the decision making is dynamic. So it could allow the first part of a TCP handshake, but then later on, if like credentials fail or something else goes wrong, it'll later deny that connection. And then, if the connection from the host is bad, it'll block the entire device. Okay. So, stateless is a little bit different. It uses a static set of rules to determine whether or not individual packets are acceptable or not. For example, I want to allow traffic on port XYZ from host AWB, um, you know, or a range of IP addresses. However, you want to do it. That's how you can. You got rules, and it goes in order by like the last rule you set up, and run that rule, then run the next rule, and so on and so forth. So two different ways of doing the same thing. Both have their advantages and disadvantages. Okay, so the question becomes, what layers of the OSI models do firewalls operate at? Um, I want to say it's going to be layer 2 and layer 3. Let's see if I'm right. Oh, no. It's the first question I got wrong. Dang. And it doesn't really say. So let's try layer 3, layer 4. All right. So layer 3 and layer 4. Layer 3 is a network. I have to go back. I had a video on the OSI model, so I'm going to remember to put that in right here so we can review that because, why not? Obviously, I need a review, so maybe you guys do too. So I'll link that in the little thingy that maybe is over there or over here. It'll be up there. It'll be a card. Just click on it. Y'all know what to do. All right, what category of firewall inspects the entire connection? Well, we just said that. That is the stateful. Boom, got it right. Yes, sir. All right, what category of firewall inspects individual packets? That's the stateless. All right. Next up, we have the practical, the firewall practical. So what we're going to do is deploy the static site attached to this task. Malicious traffic are marked as packets in red. The legitimate traffic are the packets marked green. The protocol you need to block is port 80. Configure the firewall to prevent the malicious packets from reaching the web server 203.0.110.1. All right, let's do it. All right, destination, add. Oops, we need to. Oh no! I wasn't fast enough. All right, so 195.34, 480. Let's add it. What? I think we got it right. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. All right, well, cool. THM firewalls rule. Submit. See, I didn't realize. I need to add the external IP address that the malicious traffic was coming from. What's cool about that, from a network security standpoint, is they're starting to develop a lot of firewalls and other security devices with AI that can kind of recognize that and will instantly, fix it, such as adding a blocking rule like this. So that's pretty cool. It makes network security people's jobs a whole lot easier. You just got to make sure that the AI is doing what it's supposed to be doing. Okay, so we're moving on to VPN basics. Virtual Private Network, or VPN for short, is technology that allows devices on separate networks to communicate securely by creating a dedicated path between each other over the internet, known as a tunnel. Devices connected within this tunnel form their own private network. So, for example, and I'm sure most of y'all watching this, are already familiar with VPNs. They got several uses. For those that worked during COVID, they had to work from home. You have to use the company's VPN to tunnel into the company network. So essentially, once you connect to the VPN, it's as if you were connected to the company's own network and not another internet connection trying to access the web server. But you can access the whole network, or at least the portions you would normally have access to if you were at work. Okay, so there's several benefits. It allows networks in different geographical locations to be connected. So again, you could say you have Office A in New York City and Office B in Los Angeles, and you want them to kind of uh, be on the same network, but not have to go through the internet and have them more secure. You could have them connect to a VPN and on the same VPN, and boom. So that's one use. Another use is streaming. It allows you to pretend you're in different countries. But I think most, like Netflix and the other streaming companies, I think they're catching on to that. And so they, a lot of them gone to where if you're on a VPN, they just don't allow you to connect, and which sucks. But if I, I get it, only certain movies that are and shows that only allow for certain countries, but it kind of sucks. Okay, so another benefit, it offers privacy. So it uses a high level encryption to protect data. Uh, so if you're in a public Wi-Fi, like at a coffee shop or airports, you definitely want to use a VPN when you're connected. Like even with your cell phone, because there's so much stuff the hackers can do, and so much of our data is on our cell phone. I mean, I practically live off mine. I got my banking info, my credit card info, which it's probably not smart on my part, but that's another video. Okay, so there's certain technologies, um, PPP, PPTP, IPsec. PPP allows for authentication, provides encryption data. Works by using a private key and a public key, similar to SSH. Uh, PPTP, point-to-point tunneling protocol. That's the technology that allows the data from PPP to travel and leave a network. Then IPsec, Internet Protocol Security, encrypts data using the existing Internet Protocol framework. It's difficult to set up, but if you're successful, it has stronger encryption and is supported by many devices. So PPP, I believe, only encrypts and provides the authentication data. All right, got that one right. And then IPsec uses the IP framework to encrypt data, which is nice. Okay. So I believe we are done with this one. Yes, sir. Yes, yes. I guess moving on up. What is a router? A router's job is to connect networks and pass data between them. It does this by routing. So let's say you want to go to ESPN.com, and they're on their network wherever they are in Connecticut, I guess. And I'm here in Austin, Texas, and so I send a request out, and that gets sent to my router that I have through AT&T, and it goes through that network, and it connects to another network and another, so on and so forth, until it gets to the right network for ESPN.com. And we'll show that in another video. There's actually commands that you can use to trace the route that and or the path that it would take. Okay, so three questions that it takes into consideration is what path is the shortest, what path is the most reliable, and which path has the faster medium. So, in shortest, it means distance, not necessarily connection times like ping times. So, often on a network, we'll have the router that's kind of the gateway of the network. I don't know. I'll have to double check. I might be using the wrong terminology because there's your network gateway, which you can find it when you use IP config. And pretty much, yeah, that's often the router, but it might be the your ISP's IP might be the gateway. So it might be what the router is connected to. So, anyways, the router is the main focal point, and it's often connected to a switch, and a switch is then connected to the various devices on the network. And this is hard wiring. Um, so nowadays, this might be just one device, and you it's all on one. It can also even offer Wi-Fi, so you got different devices connected through Wi-Fi, and so. But anyways, switches are dedicated networking devices responsible for providing a means of connecting to multiple devices. They can facilitate many devices. I've actually seen switches bigger than 63 ports. I've seen 128, um, but usually port zero. Well, it's 128 ports, but they start numbering at zero and go to like 127. But it's all about layers of complexity and all, and how big your network needs to be. All right, so you got kind of two different types of switches. A layer two switch, and if you remember that frames or packets, I should say, only operate at the level three, the networking layer of the OSI model, but frames will operate at the layer two. And so, say we have a layer two switch, we get the packet, and it's going to forward the data, the frame, based on the MAC address and not necessarily the IP address. All right, moving on, moving on, moving on. Let's go, let's go. All right, let's move to layer three switches. They're a tad bit more sophisticated as they can perform some of the responsibilities of a router. for example, they will send frames to devices and route packets to other devices using the IP protocol. So in this, there's two IP addresses, but we have several different machines with the IP address, and how we can do this because each of these machines will have their own MAC address. So let's answer some questions. What is the verb for the action that a router does? It is routing. Survey says nice. What are the two different layers of switches? Just went over this. Layer 2, layer 3. Okay. We got a practical. So we got the static site attached to this task view site. Okay. So Simulator is going to break down every step packet needs to get from point A to point B. We're going to try sending a TCP packet from computer 1 to computer 3 to reveal a flag. So computer 1 to computer 3, TCP. It doesn't say data hello world. Oh, we spelled, yeah, let's spell things correctly here, Tony. Come on now. All right. So let's, in case you weren't following this, let's, let me record this before I close. So it's THM, you've got data. Okay. Oops, wrong one. Okay. So we got that right. Yay. So let's kind of go over the network log. First, there's a handshake, starting TCP IP handshake between computer 1 and computer 3, sending SYN packet from computer 1 to computer 3, and routing computer 1 says computer 3 is not on my local network, sending to gateway router. Oh no. ARP requests who has the router tell computer 1. ARP response, hey computer 1, I am router. ARP requests who has the computer 3 tell router. ARP response, hey router, I am computer 3. Then handshake, computer 3 receives SYN packet from computer 1, sending SYN ACK packet to computer 1. Handshake, computer 1 receives SYN ACK packet from computer 3, sending ACK packet to computer 3. Handshake, computer 3 received ACK packet from computer 1, handshake complete. TCP, sending TCP packet from computer 1 to computer 3. TCP, computer 3 received TCP packet from computer 1, sending ACK packet to computer 1. So, the next question, I hope that kind of makes sense. If you go back to our video on packets and frames, which I'll put up here somewhere. We'll uh, we'll have a nice you can review that process. Question: how many handshake entries in the log? So I got one, two, three, four, five. Yay! What? And that's it. That's in a nutshell. That's how we get stuff out on the internet. Even though we host it locally on the network, lots of stuff involved. I hope you enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a like. Subscribe if you are enjoying the series, and if you hate it, let me know why in the comments. Because if you don't tell me, I can't fix it. All right. Have a great day. Talk to y'all later.